Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. It can only be one day. It's transfer deadline day. I'm Steve, joined by Mabsy here, and we're going to be covering all the latest news in what surely has to be Everton's busiest day of the year. Now, Mabsy, joining me now. The announcement came out earlier to confirm that Lampard is Everton manager. That feels like old news. But we're also going to be talking today about the acquisitions that Everton are making on transfer deadline day. What is your first reaction to the news that's coming through regarding the acquisition of Dele Alli?
Well, well, he's actually going through a medical at the moment. However, there is some breaking news on that, isn't there? I'm not sure Newcastle's trying to hijack the deal.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, Mabsy. Everton seems to do their business late every single year, every single deadline day. This wouldn't be any different.
Is it justifiable this season because we haven't had a manager and we're getting what the manager wants instead of a player being forced upon a man? I'm not defending Rafa, but let's be honest, El Ghazi was being forced on him. So, yeah, we've left the manager appointment late, absolutely, and everyone's been wrecking the bloody hair out. The farce that was the shambles that was Friday, again, don't know what that was about. So yeah, it's a farce. It's been an absolute farce. But I don't think the deal's necessarily been done late. I just think we've been waiting for the manager, but that's been a farce.
Well, thanks, Mabsy. So this evening, we're going to be bringing you the latest news from transfer deadline day, as well as your comments. We want you to comment and get involved in the show. We're going to have various guests throughout the evening, as what surely happens to be one of Everton's most famous nights without playing any football. So if you have just joined us, unless you've been living under a cloud, Frank Lampard was announced as the Everton manager this lunchtime. And it's an acquisition that happened after 3 interviews, with Duncan Ferguson being amongst those who were interviewed. Now, we know initially that Duncan Ferguson was looking to maybe move elsewhere to seek some managerial experience. But the latest news that we're getting from various media sources suggests that Duncan Ferguson might be tempted to stay. Mabsy, what's your view on that?
I don't know. This is true. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Frank Lampard has sorry. Big Dunk has been offered the job, right? I get that, but I've been offered the job in the past. I'm taking it. It's going to be a massive step down for him. You know, he's managed a team. He's been assistant manager for God knows how long, and then from to this be first team coach. Now I get he loves Everton, absolutely, and I get that, like we all do. Is he going to take it? I really don't know. I just think he's been offered it. Frank had to offer him a job. I think you couldn't say just be on your way. That's just not the way that Everton works, and that's not the way that he's been like. And you know, from what I think it's hard for him, and I don't know whether he's going to take it. As I say, yes, he has been offered the job. Whether he take it, that's a different story. All right, Dave, you okay, mate? Dave Weston. So, taking into account the past deadline, say this is the first time in a long time we've been getting some cards. Yeah, absolutely. You know, Van der Beek, great. That's finally over the line. Again, that's been a protracted process, and we've hijacked that from Palace, which is great business. But what are your thoughts on Dunk then?
Well, if you're Duncan Ferguson, surely you've got to see this as an opportunity to go elsewhere and build up a managerial experience, because it's proven that Everton don't want to put him in the hot seat for various reasons, and it's understandable. He's unproven. He's not had any actual managerial experience other than his interim roles. And it's risk that he goes into the position and it doesn't work out. But I think Lampard must see a lot in having Ferguson amongst his backroom staff and the spirit that he can bring to the dressing room. But the fact is, this is almost a clean slate. Even if Ferguson stays, this is going to be a very fresh start from Everton. And I think that Lampard is bringing in a whole host of experienced backroom staff with him as part of his managerial role. And I think Ferguson is going to play bit part, whether that suits him. Perhaps the deal is to keep him to the end of the season or until he finds, I know there's talk about the Sunderland job, but something like that where he can move into a managerial position. And a bit like what Frank Lampard did at Derby, prove himself a little bit and then work his way up the ladder. There's no doubt Ferguson will become an Everton manager. But I think everyone wants that to work out. And maybe it's just destiny that will happen in a few years' time. So we want you to
Just
put your
sorry to
comments in.
interrupt, Steve. I've just
Ferguson to
seen.
stay
Hang
or
on,
go.
Steve, breaking news here. Now, not necessarily breaking news for Everton, but it could be because Barcelona have agreed a deal to sign Aubameyang. Now, is that problems for us?
Well, although there was rumours
I know
that
it's late in the day, but that's not good.
I don't think Lampard. I think Lampard is going to block a move for DCL, and rightly so. Because
yeah, absolutely.
we can't.
But they're going to come in a late deal now, though.
Yeah, I think that it's getting very late in the day. I don't think. I mean, I like to think that Dominic Calvert-Lewin has put his feet up at home, or perhaps he is doing some fashion shopping online, but not involved in. But not involved in the transfer madness because we need to start building a team, and that's got to be built around our best players. Unfortunately, we've lost one of them due to the madness that happened along with Benitez's end of his tenure. And I think a lot of people have the view that Luka Dingus should have stayed and Benitez went. And I don't think we can let any of our best players go. We want you to have your say here on Follow Everton. We're going to be with you throughout transfer deadline. There's obviously a lot happening right now. We have many people commenting, and it would be good to find out what you think of Duncan Ferguson. Should he stay? Should he go at this point? What's your views on the Lampard signing and his interview earlier today, where Lampard spoke enthusiastically about the position at Everton, the challenges that he has, and the fact that he wants to play attacking football and pressing football, but also he's realistic that the short-term goals really are to consolidate the position that Everton are in right now. So, Mabsy, I'm going to hand over to you while I go and grab a charger, but perhaps you can just take us through some of the highlights that you've seen with Lampard in terms of his playing career. Is there anything that stands out as being?
I mean, to be fair, it's
a guy who's going to be proven as a manager going forward.
It's difficult. Obviously, he's one of the best midfielders of all time. There's no doubt about that. I think he scored a lot more than that. Villa manager. Let's be brutally honest with you. They'll say they're the best, but obviously he's not. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table, as in, he's going to boost the midfield, isn't he? Let's be honest, that's what he's doing now. We need it. We need the midfield to be sorted. That's probably the midfield and defence. I mean, he's not the best at defensing. He's more of an attacking manager, but we've hopefully got a few set piece coaches coming in to sort that. I've heard that also that there's going to be where are we? Ashley Cole is potentially coming onto the board. Onto the coaching staff. Again, just immense what he's bringing. And I think he's a young, hungry manager, and he's got a point to prove to Chelsea. Maybe the Chelsea job was a bit too much for him to begin with in the Premiership. Maybe, the likes of not.
It was a tough ask. I mean, yeah, it basically has a mix of what might have happened to Ferguson if he'd taken the Everton job, but even more pressure with Chelsea being in the Champions League, and also the fact that he's having to nurture players like Mount, as well as all of the talent at Chelsea and the investment that they've made and their history and pedigree. It's a different. I mean, it's no doubt it's a bigger job than the Everton job, whichever way we look at it. And it's not like he did badly. It's just that everyone's got different expectations, right?
Well, at the end of the day,
we'd like to know what
it was 11 points off the league. that team was his team. That they won the Champions League. So let's not take that away from him. Yeah, he spent a lot of money. I get that, but it's still his team.
We want you to know. We want to know what your favourite Frank Lampard moments are. I mean, obviously he scored at Everton so many times. A memorable cup goal lives to mind, but so many goals from outside the box. It's something that Everton haven't done over the years. Scored enough from outside the box. Maybe a few exceptions, Gylfi Sigurdsson, and then going further back, maybe Mikel Arteta was the only other one that springs to mind as being an outside box goal scorer. Maybe you can bring that sort of thinking to the game, and obviously trying to develop the midfield. While we're on the subject of midfield, moving away from Lampard, we do want to know what your goal memories are, whether it's the England goal that wasn't an FA Cup match. Lampard is obviously proven himself as a captain, a leader, and in recent times, a manager at Chelsea who performed an adequate way. But let's go through and have a look at the comments, particularly with regards to the signing from Manchester United, Van der Beek. So if you've really just joined us, Van der Beek has put pen to paper, we believe, with the Everton announcement to come. And that's surely going to
by Everton.
It's been confirmed by Everton now. So, Mabsy, what do you think about the signing? First of all, it's going to bring quality to the team. What do you think that it's going to bring to our midfield that has been lacking this season and even before?
Let's go to the comments first, and let's just go through a few comments, shall we? First.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the comments. But before we do, it'd be good to get your views. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We have over 800 subscribers now, and we're really aiming to get to 1,000 subscribers tonight. If we can do that, it will make a difference to the channel and what we can do and the output we can put out. So Dave Bryan says he doesn't get the Van der Beek signing. We can't sign permanently to the end of the season.
Okay. So yeah, go on.
That's fine.
Lampard, you know what? But at the end of the day, okay. So let's just go on to this. So the subject is, okay, yes, we've not got an option to buy at the end of the season. Okay, it doesn't mean that we're not going to buy him. It just means we haven't agreed the price. It's not that we can't sign him permanently. At the end of the day, I agree. You know, I mean, obviously United rate him, but if he comes in and puts a shift in and yet he improves for United, then, you know, so be it. He saved the club. You know, let's not forget, we are in danger of going down. No, there's no two ways about it. Regardless of people, I think people who seriously think we're too big to go down, you're wrong. No club is too big. You look at the likes of Aston Villa, big club, went down. They're the one. That's the one Ray sticks in my craw. You know, very similar to Everton. We've got a big old stadium. You know, family members of the Football League like us, they went. I know the family members of the Premier League, they went down. So, you know, with regards to that, you know, no club is too big to go down. So, yeah, if he improves United, then unfortunately that's the way it is, and we just got to accept that he's not our player. We've got a good deal. I think we're paying his full wages, and I think it's roughly about
120k. I think
120k a week in it, and then I think it's a loan fee of like $500,000. So
yeah, that sounds right. I think there might be an option. Yeah, there might be an option. Okay, no option to buy. So basically, but in the position we're in, to bring in a player of that quality, surely.
Yeah, that quality, and you know what, United must be rating him to be. You know, United must rate him to actually not give an option to buy at the end of the season, and not forgetting, you know, there's going to be Man United. Rangnick's only an interim as well, so you know what, they maybe just want to see if the new manager wants him. So absolutely, you know, it's not. So yeah.
Yes, United have generally good scouts, and they wouldn't have bought a player that obviously they felt But as we've seen with other Everton fits in the past, just because you bring a big money player into this league doesn't mean that they're going to be the right fit, as we saw with like Danny Clarkson, and it can be a different.
Yeah, you can't compare
type
him to
of.
a Klassen. I don't think just because he's from Ajax, he looks a bit like him. You know what? I think the Bobble said last night. You know, you can't, and it's fair enough. You can't just compare him to Danny Klassen. I haven't seen much of him. I'm going to be brutally honest with you, because he hasn't had much game time at United, has he? So you know, he's only been coming on for bit parts. So as I say, you know, we're not in a position where we can be going out and spending stupid amounts of money. So
No.
of course, that loans are only option. So, albeit it's got to remember it's not our play at the end of the day, you know, and that's it.
Matthew Bryce says, "Good window so far. We need a central defensive." Yeah. Well, there was talk about Ghana Gay coming back to Everton earlier on in the day on various news outlets. If that's a late deal that happens,
it's gone very quiet on that. Nothing's been said.
I think just pure rumours, really. Ghana Gay had one of the top ratings for interceptions in Europe. He's obviously been playing at PSG. They're chasing Champions League with Messi. It seems like a step down, surely, if he was to come back to Everton. What would you make if that was the case, Mabsy?
I would give my left testicle for him to come back, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Gay was the standout player.
He's just a player that, you know, uses the quality and uses what we need at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think we do need that defensive midfield. Well, almost like the whole midfield needs a bit of a shake-up, really. Look, this whole thing is going to take time. Lampard's got to get us through till the end of the season. And you're absolutely right. If we carry on like this, we're absolutely in a relegation battle. The form that we're in, if you take away the first few games of the season, we're absolutely in the bottom three. It's only really the first few games of the season that's giving us this distorted feeling. Our form is relegation form. In fact, it's bottom of the league form. So we need to really have this opinion that it's all about just getting through to the end of the year now. It's January already. We need to get through to May, and then it needs to be a lot of rebuilding. And Lampard, you know, if we finish 12th, I think that would be a good finish. What do you think, Mabsy? Where would you like to see us? Would you just be happy anywhere but relegation?
You know what? I'll be pretty honest with you. The way that I'm feeling now, I'd be happy to finish 17th, just to stay up. I think that's it's not focusing. It's just not. You know what? It means there's a contract and staying up. At the moment, I don't care in league position. It's just quite literally now survival. And then you know what? If we get saved, then we can talk about league position. But I don't think league position comes into it at the moment. You know what? I'm really happy with
trying. But can we get the best out of him? If you've just joined us, we understand that Dele Alli is having the former England midfielder is having a medical at Everton around about now. We expect that deal to be announced later on today, and Everton have already confirmed Van der Beek in their midfield on a loan deal. Mabsy, what do you make of these two signings? Could Everton have done anything better today? Do you think this is a really good deadline day if these two?
I've got to be really positive. I can't not being really positive. I mean, the Ali deal, I think, is no risk to us. Have you seen it? What the deal? How the deal is structured?
No, I don't actually have the details of the structure of the deal, man.
So the structure of the deal goes like this. So it's basically he's technically coming in on free at this present moment in time. He plays 20 games, they get 10 million, right? And then there's various bonuses if he meets objectives, and that can rise up to 40 million. Now, to me, that's the best way we get around FFP because we are skint and we can't afford it. So yes, it's a £40 million deal, but is it really? Who knows? It's rising up to 40 million. So let's be brutally honest with you. This is, in all but name, a loan with an obligation to buy at the end of the season. without the obligation. Because if he turns out to be not good, we could play 19 games and they're not playing. We don't have to pay 10 million. So whoever's come up with that deal, I think it's a great, absolutely fantastic deal. There's no. What do you think of that structure?
Well, it sounds like it's been structured really well. I mean, Everton are notorious about getting players in, and for one reason or another, they get injured quite quickly. So to hit 20 games, it seems like a long shot away at the moment, especially given the fact that we're only in 2 competitions until to the end of the season. So we've got a real chance for Dele Alli, if he does sign, to bet into the side, and surely this means that Everton will have a midfield of quality on paper. But as we well know, football isn't played on paper. If it had been played on paper, we would be doing a lot better than we're doing. It's all about getting the team to gel. But what's quite interesting is obviously another England international, and we've got Lampard's experience, we've got Calvert-Lewin, and we have some good young players coming into the squad. And hopefully it's about building a vision, and they want to have a particular playing style, but they've got to build for the future, and having the experience of these former England and current England international players in the side will surely build more spirit and help with Everton and their ability to move forward through the table. Nick Hughes has said it's all about survival. What do you think?
Just be back in a second.
We tend to agree. Nick, I think Everton would be pretty happy to escape anything like a last-minute relegation battle, as we saw in 1998. I think it was Coventry, and 1994 with Wimbledon. We certainly don't want to go down there, but the way it was heading under Rafa Benitez, it almost seems like we put a stop to the rot. It's got to be a feeling now that we've turned the corner. We've put the manager into place, Frank Lampard. He's come through what sounded like a very thought-out recruitment process, where we've considered Vieira, Lampard, and Duncan Ferguson as the 3 main candidates. We've been listening to what fans wanted and put Frank Lampard, a young former Chelsea captain, into the Everton hot seat, and in doing so, we're giving him a chance to build a side and take us to the new stadium. And obviously Lampard is a lot less experienced than the likes of Ancelotti, but he's going to bring a forward-thinking, a more progressive style, I think, to Everton. And the main thing is, as we focused, is just escaping relegation. Now, we have a FA Cup side tie this weekend against Brentford, and we're going to be very briefly touching on that match. Mabsy, Everton have a few days to prepare for the match. Do you think that these new signings go straight into the side?
Well, no, they can't, Steve. Van der Beek is cup tied. Van der Beek can't. El Ghazi's cup tied. Dele Alli, I'm not sure about, but I don't think he is. Quote me if I'm wrong, but so those 2, El Ghazi and Van der Beek are definitely cup tied.
We'll look into that fact to see whether Dele Alli would be cup tied. I mean, Everton should beat Brentford at home, but obviously Brentford now a Premier League side. They've done really well against some top sides, and it will be harder for them. But with travelling 6,000 fans, they'll have a really good shout at the weekend. It's going to be a great cup tie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a traditional cup tie. Christian Eriksen, do you reckon Christian Eriksen's going to go straight into that team?
I think so, and I think that it'll be interesting to see
is cup tied as well.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see the reaction. See the reaction to Dele Alli when he does play, but it won't be this coming Saturday against Brentford.
So we're not going to basically see any new faces.
We're not going to see any new faces, but we'll see Duncan Ferguson. Now, we're very privileged to have John joining us, and he's going to be bringing his thoughts on the Lampard signing. John, thanks for joining us this evening. Obviously,
All right,
it's
guys,
transfer
how are you?
deadline day.
All right, John.
Lots and lots happening. What's your take on today's events, the Lampard signing, Van de Beek, and the possible imminent arrival of Dele Alli?
Yeah, well, it's nice to see Everton are doing something, trying to correct the problems we've clearly been having. Hopefully, with Lampard in, it will be a fresh change. People are going to actually have to fight for their place in the team. I think the problem we've had in the past as well are players have felt as if their position in the team has been solid and set in stone. Whereas I think if people actually fight for their place and if players realise they're not guaranteed a spot in the team every week, then it will actually force them to fight for their club and shirt and bring the passion out that we clearly need. In terms of our signings or potential signings, Van de Beek was a very good pick, I think, because a young guy coming in, again, can have some creativity and flow to our team. With Ali, it was an interesting pick again, but I'm just not too sure. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to the likes of Iwobi, but we spent a big fortune on Iwobi. And obviously he hasn't performed like other players like Klassen. In the past, we've had a lot of these signings that I feel like with Everton, they've bought players for the name as opposed to actual talent. So we've gone with Ali, and in the past he's been a great player for Spurs, done well, but he's been quite quiet for quite a few seasons now. So I don't want us to spend 30-40 million, which is a lot to dish out for one player, especially if they're not going to be able to come into the team and make a difference.
But we're not paying that 30-40 million, are we though? For that's all hypothetical. That's rising the bonuses and potentially winning the league and overall. I don't know, but the way that it's structured is that it's free for the first 20 games.
Yeah,
so,
but you say it's
10 million.
You say it's free, but eventually money is going to be leaving the club and going towards these players.
No. But John. But at the end of the day, if he plays 19 games, yeah, and he turns out not to be great, we don't have to pay that 20th game. We don't pay him. We move him on.
Yeah, you're right. But so hopefully he can come in.
As I say, the way I see it is that whoever's done this deal, we've got a loan with an obligation to buy. Well, not even an obligation to buy technically. So we've got around this Premier League rule where you're only allowed two Premier League two loans from the
That's
league.
right. Two loan signings are permitted under Premier League rules.
So actually, this is structured really well. For a change, it seems like we're an organised club for this deal. It's absolutely perplexing.
Surely this has not come in at the last minute then. This is not today's events. This is something that Everton maybe have identified a few days ago.
It's got to be
weeks ago.
No, what we don't know. But
the deal's going to be scoped. The deal maybe has been scoped today, but maybe Everton have had their sights on Dele Alli for some time.
Well,
it's well publicised
but we haven't had the manager in place, so let's not beat around the bush. You only really compare it until we've got the manager. I mean, Dele Alli has said a few weeks ago that Everton were interested in him, but he waited until we'll see who the manager was first. So
at the end of the day, all the signings we made, it's imperative that they gel well as a team with the other players and we get the results that we need. Both players could have potential, and hopefully Lampard will be able to extract that out of both of them and get them playing again.
Of course. I mean, he's a midfielder, so of course absolutely you should be able to improve them. You know what I mean?
It's also good because it provides an opportunity for us to bring cover for the likes of Decore, who's been injured for a while, or other weaker players that we're either looking to move on or bring some more squad depth to. And it's nice to see that we're trying to fill out the positions, because recently we've been struggling a lot with the injuries and everything. And I think our midfield has been lacking massively since Decore's been out injured, because I think he is a very crucial player to our team, going forward and also going back. So to bring in these two players will hopefully be able to cover our weaknesses and fill out that squad depth.
Thanks, John. It's great to have you on, and I hope you stick around. I'm now going to bring in Steve to the conversation. Steve, good to have you on the show.
Okay, Steve.
Thanks very much, Al. Yeah. You all right?
How are you keeping?
All right, all good.
Yeah, all good. What do you make of today's events? Are you happy with Lampard?
I think it was the best option, yeah. I think it was the best option we had. So, yeah, I am happy with him.
Steve, what is going on? Why are we so organised in this deal? It actually feels like we're a competent club at this deal, but I don't get it. The way they
Marcel Brands hasn't got his finger in the pie.
Do you think that, though? Do you think it's honestly, it's a deal down, he's doing the deal, Steve?
I've heard Ken Wright's doing it. I've heard Ken Wright's doing them directly from his office. So, the common denominator is Marcel Brands.
Whoever's done it is a genius, the way they've structured it and the way they've got Daniel Levy to agree to it.
Newcastle have come in, at the 11th hour.
I know, I've heard that, and I'm worried about it. But on Newcastle, because Newcastle are going to have to pay big, aren't they? Because Daniel Levy's not stupid. He knows they've got cash, and that he's going to go to Everton. So he's going to demand money. I mean, they're going to be put off by the way that Man United were with Lingard, because wasn't that deal? Excuse me. Wasn't that deal like something like if they stayed up, they pay United 12 million loan fee or something?
Something like that.
A loan fee. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm happy with Lampard. I'm happy with his first interview. Like, we want to fight. And I loved the bit when he turned around and he said, I want them players to go out on the pitches if they were a fan. I just thought that sealed it for me.
That's it. You know what? This is spot on, actually, from Dave. Let's be honest. If he still had, I'm not going to say that name because apparently it's racist or whatever. He's still in charge. We'll be looking to sign the likes of Sean Longstaff. Happy that but that shows you, doesn't it, that deal collapsed as soon as Benitez left, and that was the quality that he had no idea. Well, Lampard comes in day one, get Van der Beek. Day two, Dele Alli.
It's a change of attitude that we've been needing as well, because all the players, it's been a rotten atmosphere around the club and with all the fans involved, and just all the players, they don't want to win for Benitez. They never wanted it, and you could see the way they're playing on the pitch. There was no passion with the players. So hopefully, again, to bring in the new manager and to have these interesting signings, hopefully we can put the passion on the pitch and, as you say, play for the club and all the fans. And hopefully get the crucial wins that we need to boost our way back up the table and away from relegation.
I think you get that more with a manager that was a player not that long ago, and having such a young, fresh, and hopefully progressive manager in Frank Lampard. Everton have a guy who knows what it's like to walk down the tunnel at Goodison, albeit in the opposition shirt, but also to know what it means to the fans. We need to really bring that passion in. Mabsy, have you got some news?
Sorry, breaking news from the bubble. So Everton are now set to complete the signing of Indian international Dele Alli from Tottenham. Medical concluded, the personal terms agreed. Manager Frank Lampard has a huge influence on Dele joining the football club. So that's breaking right now.
Yeah. But
so that's really good, and I think that's also confirmed by Fabrizio Romero as well. Alan Myers has yet to tweet on that, but as I say, I think if Fabrizio Romero says it, it's done, isn't it? Really. So here we go. Yeah, that was 4 out of 1. You just tweeted. Fabrizio Romero just tweeted 5 minutes ago. Dele Alli, all medical votes. Hang on. Okay, so this is from Dele Alli, and this is from Fabrizio, not the bubble. Dele Alli's medical evaluation is still ongoing. A long one, yes, but no problem. Normal process. I'm still told the same. He's going to join Everton. So as I say, the bubble has said it's done. Fabrizio is saying that it's nearly done. So yeah, we're getting that other one over the line then.
It's good to know that we don't have to wait till midnight to get this confirmation that it's going to be coming very soon. Guys, assuming that Ali completes imminently, and we've got Van der Beek, another couple of fullbacks that we got this month. What's going to be your lineup? I mean, where do you see? Do you see these as squad players? Do you see them go straight in? I mean, we talked about how Dele Alli is going to be cut tied, as is Van der Beek, so they're not going to play on Saturday. But maybe that's a good thing. It gives them time to work together and try and form some sort of gel, because obviously there's a new teammate. Steve, what's your take on this? Do you think that these are going to be players that we can see every week, or do you think this is just forcing more competition with the likes of Gomez and covering for Decore and injuries that we've got?
I think you can forget the likes of Gomez. I think he's just going to be a bit part player. He proved that. He's a great player he's a great player for about 10 minutes of the game when he's got a bit of energy. Once his legs go and he starts getting tired, he gets sloppy, he gives away stupid free kicks in ridiculous positions, and his passes start going wayward. So I wouldn't even rule go. In fact, I'd be looking to offload him. If not today, in the window.
How long is your last contract?
I'm not sure, Mabsy, I'm not sure. But, it also gives a bit of fresh legs around Alan. And we said that, I said to Ryan, Alan needs legs around him. And we had that with Decore. You know what I mean? And we'll have Decore, Alan. I'd like to play the diamond with Van der Beek and Dele Alli as a 10. But then who do we drop out? Do we drop Damari Gray out, who's one of our most creative players? There's got to be give somewhere, hasn't he?
No, well, Lampard's going to have to find this out. Jonathan, do you have any thoughts on how Everton should line up with the new signings and what you'd like to see? Would you like to see Gordon in the side permanently? Would you prefer to play with experienced players? Would you play 3 up front? It worked really well with Ancelotti.
I think it's valuable to have that mix of young talent coming in and the experience, because either side one way and it can be an imbalance to the team. If you've got too much experience, you haven't got that fresh quality coming into the team. But if you've got too much, if you've got not enough talent and it's full of the old players, then obviously you're not going to make an impact. I'd like to see Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison being supported more by Dele Alli. If he plays it in like a triangle with Dele Alli giving him more support, I think it would be better, because then we can attack down the middle. Because I think Everton have been playing so repetitive that people have worked us out, and the way we're always passing down the wing, trying to cross it in, and the cross is poor and it gets cleared, I think that's Everton all over. So if we have the likes of Dele Alli behind Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, it can really allow us to push forward down the middle and actually make some creative chance. I also think that obviously we've got Gomez and we've got Alan. I think they do put in a shift, but I don't think they're there for all 90 minutes of the game. So again, having Van der Beek or Dele Alli to be able to come in and rotate with these players, or come on for Gordon and Gray and rotate these, kind of keep the fresh legs on the pitch, it will really be able to make an impact throughout the whole 90.
Thanks, Jonathan. That's really good insight. And of course, we're going to see Everton in action this Saturday against Brentford. Steve, while we've got you on, it'd be good to know what you're most looking forward to seeing on Saturday. Is it just the fact that we've got a fresh face in the dugout? Are you looking to just scrape by Brentford and move into the hat? Do you want to see a real team performance? What are you expecting to see?
A real team performance. I don't want to see, frankly, even the likes of Pickford out and putting Begovic in. I want to see him put his full team out, so he can evaluate what team, and he can evaluate them players on the pitch, not look back through videos. I want to see him put the full team out.
We're definitely expecting Everton's top lineup, no doubt, but we probably shouldn't expect too much in terms of drastic changes overnight. This is a side that have been on a really bad losing streak, and obviously no one wants it to go past the 90 minutes. But this is going to be a tough tie against Brentford.
If I'm honest, we struggled against Hull, and they're a championship team. If you see where Everton are, we're clearly struggling as well. Brentford are doing better than us, and we didn't lose to them too long ago. I think when teams play a weaker side, either if they're resting players, obviously that's for a reason, but we actually don't have any need to do. We need to. our position in the league is already, we're finished. We're not going to be able to get Europa League or Champions League or anything like that. So I think Everton fans would be absolutely 100% wanting to go for the cup. We need to play a full strength team, not give them any opportunity by playing weaker teams. I agree. I want to see Pickford in goal. Begovic didn't have a bad game, but we need our full strength team out. We also need to see what we can do, who links well together. And I think now would be a great opportunity to fully go for it.
Yeah. Dave Weston has again said, and we can safely say that two in midfield will be a distant memory. Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Yeah, we've got a decent manager, and we're getting decent midfielders, and so absolutely.
And it's quite normal to see a new manager come in, and the team gives the team a lift right away. A bit of confidence come back. They're all eager to impress the new manager. There'll be a bit more effort. I'd like to think there'll be a bit more effort. So I'm looking forward to a different Everton on Saturday, although it'll be the same personnel.
I'd say, yeah. Would you reckon Patterson starts from Markienko? Because they're not obviously cut tight.
Good points. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on these two at the minute, Patterson and Mykolenko.
Did you not see the double assist?
Sorry?
Did you not see the double assist on the other 23s?
I've seen the Patterson get. I've seen Patterson, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too impressed. I'm not at the minute, and I know the kids. He's only young, Mykolenko.
Yeah.
He's got to settle into a new country and that, as well as adapt to the speed of the Premier League. But he hasn't impressed me so far.
Robbie's making a nice joke here. Rondon to Newcastle.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be bothered. We send him on a free, but we're not. That's not, unfortunately, Robbie. I love that for us, but please.
At this rate, I'd pay to get rid of him.
Yeah,
guys,
give him
and Iwobi.
Guys, this is not going to be the Rondon show, but can you think of any Everton players that are worse strikers? Any worse players in your history of following Everton than Rondon?
Well,
Steve, who you're going to go with Brett Angel or someone?
You never seen the likes of Bernie Wright or Brett Angel, I don't think.
I saw Brett Angel.
The only centre forward who ducked when the ball come at him.
It'd be interesting if we were to put together a worst Everton 11. Would there be lots of players from the last decade in that? It just shows you how many.
But, I mean, I know when the Follow Everton site was on, it was online, and I used to put a thread up every now and again to say to the guys out who were on, name your worst Everton 11. And it was
Alex Nyarko's got to be there, surely.
Who?
Alex Nyarko. Remember that at Arsenal?
You're looking at the likes of your Tony Thomases, your Danny Williamsons, and your Lee Wave Fung, whatever his name was.
That was a tie deal, wasn't it, with Cajun?
Alcaraz.
Yeah.
There's one from Kenny Sale. Bakayoko was bad. No doubt. Yeah.
But he scored goals. He got the odd goal when we needed it. But
he did. What was your worst deadline signing? Is there any that have stood? Iwobi. I mean, there has been some rumours about Iwobi leaving Everton for 1.75 million in the last couple of hours.
Anything for Iwobi, then I'd be surprised, but they won't happen.
Have you seen what Arsenal have just done? Arsenal have
just scored the hat-trick
from Aubameyang to Barcelona.
We've seen that news. Yeah, we saw that earlier. We spoke about that because Mabsy was concerned that DCL was going to head in the opposite direction, and I said
Alan Myers has hinted that there is one departure tonight. Now, Madar, what the hell, yeah.
Was Mikel Madar one of the worst players?
He scored goals as well, as you know.
Did.
You got to put Gbamin up there for his amount of time on the bench. Gbamin never plays.
Yeah.
Do you know, I keep going on about this, and every time I'm on it, I always mention it. We went to Mainz in the pre-season, when 2017 or 18, I think it was. And even the Mainz fans, that was the year we signed Gbamin, and even the Mainz fans were laughing. They were saying, you're paying 30 million for him. He'll never play. He will going to play for you.
No.
Another Marcel
So,
Brand in the water.
Of course, we're talking
So
about
anyway-
players that actually made it to the pitch,
Yeah.
played,
God, I get
put
that.
the shirt on. There are so many Everton players, as we mentioned, Gbamin and Balassi. We spent all this money.
No, hang on. No, let's hang on. Balassi was great until his injury.
I don't think we saw anything like the best of it.
That injury just ruined him, to be honest. But
We seem to be more like a charity shop with these players. We seem to recruit pay a lot of money for some top-ish players,
anyway,
and then they come to us and sit on the bench or.
so
This is
let's
what
get
I'm
back to
saying.
trans-
This is
The
what I
thing
was
with the
saying
goal-
before. They're paying for the name, not the actual talent that the player shows. So they're paying for all these big names that have had good seasons in the past. But if they're not showing them, then they shouldn't be worth the big money that they are now. And that's how we're wasting money on players that aren't worth it. And then we're just sit there and pay their wages, don't actually get onto the pitch.
The thing with
So
the Wobie,
let's-
it was a deadline day signing, and we weren't even linked with him. No one had linked Everton. He wasn't even mooted in the papers or
It was
anything.
another career interruption, wasn't it? Little fakey.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was just bingo. We've signed Alex Iwobi, and everyone was like, "What?"
From where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the transfer deadline news. Alan Myers has said before, there is one player to leave tonight. Apparently, I think it's Mason Holgate, and I think it's Brighton. Thoughts?
Say that again. Holgate to Brighton.
Yeah.
But we need a centre half in place. Then we can't. I'm disappointed we haven't identified a centre half in this window when it's been blatantly obvious for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
We haven't got a leader at the back. So unless
Absolutely.
someone's going to pull a rabbit out the bag, and bring a centre half in, you've got to keep hold of him, although as bad as he is.
Yeah,
We don't have the squad.
As I say, it's not. This is what I've been told. I'm not exactly 100% sure on it. I heard it meted around last night, and as I say, Alan Myers doesn't usually get stuff wrong. Has said there is one to leave tonight potentially. So I believe there could be still the departure from Everton before 11 p.m. So who knows?
Don't forget to subscribe. We're pushing for 1,000 followers now, well over 800 now. So it'd be great to get you and your mates on board with this exciting day of off-field action. Perhaps one of the best days of the season, certainly for me, guys. There's not been enough to enjoy on the pitch, and we're hoping that this day is a big turning point for our season and that things start to kick on. Wouldn't it be great to go on a good cut run now? But we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves.
Absolutely, but I think the problem that we have is three of our signings cannot play in this game. Now, they've just signed Christian Eriksen, haven't they, on a free rather because he's a free agent since the heart attack. Now, I don't know if he plays Saturday, because he's not going to be match fit, surely. But we'll be just put him straight in. But
who's not going to be match fit?
Christian Eriksen for Brentford.
I think they'll put him straight in.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do.
I think they'll put him straight in as well.
I do, yeah.
What sort of reception do you think Eriksen's going to get? He's surely going to get a good reception from the Everton fans.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's not going to be fit, is he? If he's not played since June, regardless of, you can do as much training as you want on the pitch, in the gym. But he's not played. Then he's definitely not going to last 90 minutes.
No, it'd be good to see him back on the pitch in at Goodison as well. After what happened, it's beyond frightening. What did you guys think of it when Eriksen collapsed? Where were you? Can you remember what you thought at the time? Have you ever seen anything like that on a football pitch?
Yeah,
It
it's
was
just
shocking.
shocking to see because obviously
Yeah.
you think of professional football players to be, prime fitness, otherwise they wouldn't make it onto the pitch anyway. And then to see something like that happen is obviously very shocking. And you just don't expect it, but thoughts are with him, and I'm glad he's back. And hopefully we can see a good return of him.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, where were you when Eriksen went down? What did you make of it? Obviously,
I didn't see it live on TV. I only seen it when I got back and watched it. But it was like it brought memories of the Fabrice Muamba.
Absolutely.
And I see now. I watched that on the TV, and that was pretty.
Mm.
It was upsetting as well. Not just thing. It was upsetting for the fans, and I'm surprised the game went ahead, carried on.
Mm.
That was down to Denmark, though, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
They with all respect to the game carrying on, I think they were given the option. So they weren't going to say, well, they weren't forced to play on. They made the decision for the team and made the decision for Christian Eriksen to play on. And they went quite far, to be fair to them. Looks at one stage they were going to go out, wasn't it? But they looked like they were going to, and then looked like they were going to go all the way. But absolutely. It'll be good.
Do you think that really helped their team spirit? What's the strangest thing you've ever seen? You've ever seen at Goodison Park? Is there any memory that you can think of that stands out? I remember there was a match against Tottenham, I think in the late 90s, where a dog ran on the pitch.
There's been loads of cats going on, hasn't there?
Cats.
Yeah, the black cat.
Yeah, we could do with some people scoring goals, to be quite frank.
That's a rare sight at Goodison as well.
We're trying to break humour from what is a difficult season for Everton, but today is a big turning round. We have lots of people commenting. We like to know
comments. So let's go to
what you think.
More comments in. Kenny says please like to on Holgate. Yes, absolutely, Kenny. It's a tough one. As Steve's been placing before, we haven't got many sense of that at this present moment. So is that the right time for him to go? Who knows? Maybe this is where we're getting the money to pay Dele Alli's wages.
Unless he's going to escalate Brantwaite into Holgate's place, because he's got a lot of got a good reputation of bringing youth through, hasn't he, Frank? So maybe he's going to elevate Brantwaite.
Well, there's open. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that there's plenty of young, fresh talent. You've got Dobrin trying to fight for his place. As I say, Gordon. I still to this. Did you hear the view from the Bullens last night? Did anyone hear that?
No.
Yes or no? So there's this guy came on at the beginning. Did everyone see the photo on Friday with this guy on Twitter where there was a guy on the train to London with Duncan Ferguson? So we came on the view from the Bullens last night. So it was really interesting, and he said the story, and he said about. I said, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if I believe it or not, because he said I don't understand why would Mikalenko being not even the Championship player, which is worrying me that that's true.
No, that's not true.
Don't you think?
No, I think it's a load of tosh. Rhubarb, as Boris would say.
Rhubarb,
because do you think if Duncan was going down to London for his interview, he's going to spill the beans on a player to someone he's only met for 5 minutes?
No. I get it. But then I just don't understand why he didn't play. I don't understand why. I still didn't at the Villa game.
They're not up to speed.
So I didn't say didn't understand why Gordon didn't play. Don't understand why Patterson didn't play, and didn't really touch on that either. So it was weird for him to call Mikalenko. And then if you are an employee of the club, if you're anything, I wouldn't say. I don't think he'd flag off the board that much than what apparently you did. Who knows? He may have done. That's for everyone else to decide, and everyone's believe what they want. Yeah, and as well, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't 100% fit in. I don't know what Ryan's put there. Wish him well. Great club, great guy on Lampard. That's good. So I didn't see that there. So yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously some former Everton players are very happy with the decision to get Lampard in. We're going to bring in just a few seconds Ryan, who's going to be taking over hosting this. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host this evening. And of course, the night is still young. It is only 8:30. Transfer deadline day will go on, and it seems to go on and on for more than ever before. I hear stories about you can sign a player and put the postage stamp on after midnight and things like that. But it's going to be really exciting evening, not just Everton, but other transfers, although it does seem that Everton are... the squad has felt like they've been playing football upside down, and joining us on that very note is our co-host Ryan. Ryan joining us for the evening at Transfer Deadline Day to remember.
Good evening, yes. Can you hear me clearly?
Very clearly, Motti. Very clearly.
I think this is definitely a Transfer Deadline Day we will all remember for a little while. I mean, I can't remember the last time Everton brought in a couple of decent players on a deadline day. I'm used to sitting here feeling a little bit disappointed and waiting for 11 o'clock for some unknown player who turns out to be a crock of shite joining from abroad. But I'm actually excited. I'll be honest with you. I'm excited looking at these names. I think Dele Alli has Frank Lampard written all over him, really. And I think he's the perfect man to get the best out of a player like Dele Alli. And I think it's a sign that we're going to be switching from this very rigid 4-4-2, which, let's be honest, didn't allow us to overload any part of the pitch and left us in a position where we found it difficult to break teams down. I think these players now will allow us to switch to a 4-3-3, which will be far more dynamic, with late runs from the box from Dele Alli and Van der Beek, and will allow us to finally control games, which we're going to need to do if we're going to win. If we're going to win any games. So thanks, Steve, for your time today. Much appreciated. I'm not sure where you're up to with the comments, but if you want to drop back in an hour or so or whatever, and take over again for half an hour.
We have a whole host of comments in this evening.
Have you seen that? Are you Ryan twins?
Yeah.
Contributions.
10 years older than me.
So yeah, Ryan and I separated from birth by 10 years. But yeah, you guessed it. 3 members of the squad are the Bee Gees. So I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Rye and guys. I'll look forward to hearing more from you guys, and wish you all well. See you ahead of the Brentford match on Saturday. Thanks for watching so far. Please stay tuned, like, comment, and let's get up to 1,000 followers.
Yeah, Stevie's getting booted off. Thanks, Stevie. Yeah. Goodbye.
Stevie's bye.
Take care.
Stevie's getting labelled like that.
How did he do? Yeah, I said, can you be the warm-up pack tonight?
I think.
Can you be the warm-up?
I think we're getting many comments in, to be fair. So, but
okay, let's bring some law. Let's bring in some comments, some law and order. If you haven't seen the channel before, it's Follow Everton. Welcome this evening, and hit that like and subscribe button for us. I have got the pleasure of being joined with Mabsy, Mr. Mabsy, top right-hand corner, and Steve, bottom left-hand corner. Steve Blue, former fans forum favourite. Steve Ellie, he actually went abroad with Sport Pisa, believe it or not, many years ago. He was the designated fan. He'll love that fact. And he was part of the original Follow Everton forum back in 2009 through to 2014. So an honour and a privilege to be in company of 2 greats and Jonathan, Everton's brightest young thing in the YouTube scene. We've got him back. So that's the introductions over. Of course, I'm Ryan. Thank you very much, Stevie. I think you did a good job. Now we've got comments. Keep them comments coming in. We're going to be live. We've already been on for an hour. I think we'll be on for at least another hour. And we've got a secret guest. Well, it's not really a secret. Big Basil will be on a little bit later as well. I think we're getting Mickey from Twitter in. Mabsy, if you can.
Oh, is he coming on? Yeah.
If you can explain to him how that works, while I interrogate
I'll send
these.
Him the link now.
Firstly, can I ask who's on the official Follow Everton account? Who's on the official Follow Everton account?
On what platform?
Is Stevie still? I think Stevie's still in the background putting comments up. No, Stevie, don't do that. Who's on the official?
I think he's heard my comment there, and he's just doing that to spite me.
Who's the?
Who's put a comment up there about what do you think about Juve trying to cancel Moyes Keane contract?
Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, really?
Let me just.
Yeah, but I think I'm not surprised because I believe he's been up to his antics over there. But we did. I'm going to have a kick at Marcel Brands again. Did we miss the boat? You're reading today or yesterday that we were trying to get a Idrissa Gay back, which I would have welcomed with open arms because we've never replaced him.
Yeah, Steve. Let me just ask you on that topic.
Offered us 30 mil before we gave him away for 2 years. We should have said, give us Idrissa Gay back and a few bob, and you can have Moyes Keane.
Steve, can I ask you? I agree with you, but obviously you've got a short-term signing and then you've got a long-term signing there. We'd all welcome Idrissa Gay back with open arms. That was very unrealistic, let's be honest. He's away with the African Cup of Nations. Yeah. I personally didn't see that being done. I agree we never replaced him. On the Moyes Keane one, I think that's the type of issue. I mean, surely there'd be some clauses in the contract that say we can't, you can't end that deal. You can't terminate that loan.
It won't be, in the day, the whole point is, that's the way the deal was structured. You're legally obliged to follow the contract. So at the end of the day, tough.
Would you have him back?
We wouldn't come back, would he?
Moyes Keane, would you have him back?
Why not?
What? Why not? What do you mean? Why not? I don't understand what. Why would because he hated us, didn't he? Really? Let's be honest.
Yeah. He tried to have us over away at Huddersfield, didn't he? He knew what he was doing, getting himself sent off. But
I think we would still do. Let's be frank. I think he was also annoyed about the goal, which was a perfectly good goal, should never have been disallowed. So, and then he just spat his dummy out. It wasn't our fault, but then we got punished for it.
Dave's saying he doesn't want to come back here.
I was about to say that. I was going to say there's no point having a player that does not want to be at the club because their performance will be absolutely abysmal. Their attitude will be stinky and it will affect all the other players and the manager. It's the same with some people were commenting about having Ross Barkley back. And although he could add something to the team, arguably, I would also say that the way he treated us, refusing to train when he was at the club, and just his attitude in general was not something that you want to encourage at Everton. So if you're going to welcome these players back that don't want to play there, then it's going to bring the morale down of the rest of the team. And also, I don't think he would actually want to be here in the first place.
Okay, unpopular viewpoints here, right? I'm going to say with Ross Barkley, I think there's two different scenarios. What happens with Ross and what happens with Moyes Keane. At the end of the day, with Moyes Keane, Everton have factored budgeted for Moyes Keane not being here, so not as paying his wages, also the loan fees that we've agreed. So it's a non-starter for me because that money's probably been allocated anyway, so we can't afford to actually get him back. Okay, on the Ross situation, I feel that okay, my last minute move for Barkley, fine, fair dues. But I think what, it's tough. He was young and immature, like but he is blue at heart, and I think I don't know. I'd forgive Barkley. I would. I think. It's water under the bridge. What happened. As long as he apologised to us, I think I'd have him back personally.
Thanks, Mabs. We've got Mike waiting to come in. He did drop in the waiting room. I was about to bring him in, but waiting for an opportunity to do so. So if you can just message him and John, I don't know whether you can stick around or do you want to drop out for 20 minutes and then come back on at 9 with me and Basil? Or
I'm going to drop.
Does that suit you?
I'm going to go and get me tea.
Okay, Steve. Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Steve. I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to interrogate you. As I say, I'm here till 11 o'clock. If you've got nothing better to do, just click the same link. And because I do actually want to get your thoughts on the interview Mashiri put out on the official site and the Lampard interview and a few other things. So look, if you've got nothing better to do, come back on. If not, I'll catch you soon. Thanks, Steve.
Take care.
Good man. Go and enjoy your chippy. Okay, let's bring in another special guest now. What a first time making his debut on Follow Everton. John's also saying he's gonna drift off and come back in. John, do you want to drift off now then and come back maybe with me and Basil a bit later?
Yeah, sounds good. Been a pleasure as always, and I'll join you boys later on.
Thanks, John. Do come back in because we're going to be live till I imagine the full 11 o'clock. So be good to get the
I'm
extra.
going to nip out at 9 just to make everyone aware. So
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Whereas John, you can will you come back in about 9:15, 9:30, or?
Yeah, I'll happily join you back later.
Okay, go and get on with some stuff. Right. Thanks, John. We're now bringing another guest. Sorry about the camera. I'm downstairs tonight. It's not normal that I'd be in the living room, but because of the
bird
stream.
kicked you out the room.
No, Jasmine's sat next to me.
All right,
she's playing a game. A game you will have remembered from your childhood. Do you know what that is, Matt? GTA. So I've been told that if I'm on the stream tonight, I've got to do it down here. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. So I'm on here, and we're going to bring in. I've got a lovely pleasure tonight. I've got Mike.
Right,
I've
Mike.
been speaking with Mickey.
Hello, boys. How are we?
All right, lads.
Hiya, Mike. Thanks for coming on.
Sorry,
if anyone wants to know,
I've been winding you up all night.
Mike is on Twitter. You can find him Mickey Nobody. I don't know where did that Twitter handle come from?
No, it's Nobody now.
No, the actual handle itself. If people want to find you, Mickey Nobody. Where did that come from?
Have you ever seen the film Mr. Nobody?
I can't say I have. Am I too young for that, Mike?
Yeah, it's a boss film, and he's just nobody, and then someone messes with his family, and he flips. So Mr. Nobody goes out and gets revenge, and I just thought it was a brilliant name. So I'm Mr. Nobody. Twitter and everything I do is Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, give him a follow, guys. Give me a follow as well. No one's actually followed me.
Yeah, make sure you do. He's a really good. He's a really good Twitter account, and someone that we've been speaking to on our Twitter Spaces before. So it's delightful that we've been able to introduce him to the channel.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will be the first of many guest appearances. As you know, me and Mel.
Well, let's see how today goes first, shall we? I'm only joking, mate.
What was that, Ant? I missed that, mate.
I just said, let's see how today goes first, shall we? I'm only joking, by the way.
So I'm assuming Stevie covered all the bases with the comments. I don't quite know who's tweeting from the official Follow Everton YouTube account. I'll be honest, because I'm not, and I'm the only one with the password. So unless someone's hacked me, I got access to that. I've got to do some investigations. But Mike, I'm going to ask you a few things about some of the goings on today. Get your thoughts on it. Just so we're not speaking over each other, I will direct the questions. It could be a little bit chaotic. It could be like Twitter Spaces. So just to keep things nice and easy listening. Dave Weston wants to come on, Mabsy. Why don't you send him the link as well on Facebook? You can come on.
I'll send them on.
Yeah, Dave, if you want to come in at any point tonight, but for now, let's give Mike 15 minutes.
I'll send you on Twitter, mate.
Can I ask you? Kenny straight away says he thought Thomas Gravison was on the stream with us. But Mike, I want to ask you first of all, the elephant in the room, the two signings today, Van der Beek and Dele Alli. Are you happy with them both?
Yes. Yes, I am.
And the way the deals are structured as well.
Dele Alli has got something to prove. He's a lot better player than what he's been playing lately.
Yeah.
Now, if you think back, Jose Mourinho has a habit of picking on players and making them look a lot worse than what they are. And for whatever reason, he went to Tottenham and he done it to Dele Alli. Now, before that, he was an England regular. He was well respected throughout the game. He was a top player. And all of a sudden, Jose goes there and he's saying, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. So all of a sudden, he becomes a bad player overnight. And I just think his confidence has been absolutely shattered by Jose Mourinho. And that's what that dinosaur does. Now, him coming to us, and Andy will back me up here when I've said I have not been a Frank Lampard lover.
No, absolutely, and absolutely, Dave, and sorry, Mike,
but the last few days, and I have turned, and I have said I am prepared to give this man a chance. Watching the interview today, he sounds very positive. The people he's bringing in, I'm gutted about Duncan not getting a
he is involved.
Senior role. But
we don't know this yet, right? As I said, you know what? I've been offered plenty of jobs in the past and not taking them.
But, you know, it's something we need, I think. And I think he's bringing a fresh look into Everton is what we need at this moment. And I tweeted tonight that for 3 weeks I felt suicidal. For 3 weeks I felt suicidal. Tonight I am smiling. God, I hate this football club. And that's what
I hope you're okay,
Mike. Isn't it?
Mike, thanks very much. I think you make a fair assessment there about Dele Alli. I mean, the thing that concerns me about this is the fact that you're talking about a talented player that hasn't reached his full potential. But we've got a lot of players who haven't quite reached their full potential, and we're taking 2 more in. And he hasn't really done anything for 2 years. Do you think under Lampard he'll be able to find that form back to how he was, and we'll have a real player on our hands?
I really, really do. I think the one thing I was against, but now I am for, is Frank Lampard's age and his experience at this level. And I've always said he's never had to be in a dogfight, if you know what I mean, player or manager. So I think now, he's given us a fresh breath, a fresh set of legs, and bringing in someone like Dele Alli, who's got something to prove to Tottenham, to England, to the fans, to everything else. That could be the kick up the arse this man needs. And let's be honest, he is world class. Well, sorry, I wouldn't say world class, but he is a class player, and he can turn a game when he wants to.
He's an England international, let's be honest.
Yeah, so this just might be the breath of fresh air he needs as well. So the only people who are going to benefit from this is us as Evertonians. Let's be honest, 2 weeks ago, we were all crying in the sand. We didn't know what was going on. And today, there's a lot of hope and optimism about this football club.
It's amazing what a couple of players can do who are on the fringes at other clubs.
It's not just that, right? It's everything. Apart from Mashiri's interview today, everything else has been positive.
Did you not like Mashiri's interview?
The man's a creep. The man is a liar. He's a natural-born liar. He's still got this bell end of an agent on his shoulder.
What would you do if I told you that Kia Jarachin is involved in the deals for Dele Alli and Van der Beek? How would you feel about that?
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me at all. But this, Mashiri has got to put someone in charge of this club now, and he's got to sit there and enjoy watching Everton. He cannot carry on with this money laundering bandit.
Joe's saying, I agree with Mike. Jose did same to Shaw at United. Now he's an England starter. Thanks, Joe. I agree to some extent, but obviously Shaw has had some difficulties. Dave Weston saying, as Mabsy froze? No, he's still here. I think he's messaging you, Dave, trying to get you to come on.
I've messaged him. I've messaged him on Twitter. Sorry, I was just on mute then. I wasn't frozen. Still here.
Oh, right. Can I just ask you, mate? I think it was Saturday. Night. I was hammered, mate. I owe you an apology.
No, you don't. You know what, Mike?
We've all
You
been
made
there, mate.
you made me laugh. I mean, on Saturday night, I did the space on Twitter, and normally I'm very hands-on, directing the questions and bringing people in and out. But I thought I really
have,
can't
like,
be.
2 bottles of vodka or something ridiculous.
I think he was pissed.
Shit.
I thought, you know what? I'm going to let you all get on with it tonight. And you know what? You absolutely run riot, Mike. You know, I think you started off with the Marcel Brand story. You had me hook, line, and sinker. And then by the end of it, no one could get a word in edgeways. Every single time anyone spoke.
Back me up on that.
No, I
tell you.
Brilliant.
just before I bring in so we've got Tommy Gravison, we're bringing in Lee Carsley in a minute. No, but in all seriousness, Mike.
Who's Lee Carsley?
Mr. Westy.
Oh, he's actually coming on Happy Days.
Yeah. I've got him waiting to come on. I'll bring him in a sec. Mike, in all seriousness though, can you tell me can you please explain to those, I'll bring in Dave in on this, but you were very drunk the other night. You had an argument with another fan.
Did I?
You had an argument, yeah, but it was funny, and I think it ended amicably.
Hey, mate.
JK or someone, I think. Listen,
remember.
Mike,
you were drunk.
I've
It was
embarrassed
funny.
myself in front of the bottle, so to be fair, don't worry about it.
You can't say nothing, you Mr. Bloody.
What I just said, I've embarrassed myself in front of the bottle, so
Why? When did you do that,
anything,
Mabs?
mate, don't please.
Mabs, what was that all about?
I came on very
All
drunk.
right, haven't you heard about it?
Oh no, let's move on. Come on, we're not talking about this now.
Just after he was getting,
he's been waiting.
I thought you were I thought you were becoming friends with them, and we were going to collaborate. Is that the end of that now?
We are going to, but as I say, that's afterwards. So let's just leave that.
Hopefully that was. I'm hoping that was in the distance, not just.
It was. I don't think anyone knows. Well, a lot of people they've noticed, but it's okay. We just move on. Don't worry.
Right, Mike. Mike's
Right,
going to tell
mate.
us a really good story in a minute about how he met Marcel Brands in a supermarket a couple of nights ago. So, just to bring in Dave. Hi, Dave.
Yeah,
right,
Dave.
How's it doing, boys?
Yeah,
Dave's
welcome to the
brilliant.
welcome to the show.
Thanks,
Thanks, Dave. So,
All right, Dave.
All right, Mike.
All right, bud.
Something in the background.
the joys of being on Zoom. So, in case you're watching back, actually, I'm hoping this will get a lot of people watching back. The video we did yesterday had 4,000 views, which I think is the most we've ever had. So a lot of people are going to be watching this back. But in case you don't know, Dave Weston is one of the most loyal channel people. I think he watches every single video more or less when it's live. And Mike is a new acquaintance.
Really and he helps us out, Dave.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Keeps it going.
Just thank you, actually, Dave, for commenting. You do a lot of comments as well, so thanks for that. You do help us out a lot.
This is a comment from you straight away. You're saying a lot of mention on Frank having a transfer ban. Let's not forget he's still had a pretty decent squad, but he's a current manager. He's not long stopped playing, and football is moving at a rapid pace. So on that, do you think Lampard has ultimately turned out to be the right man here, or is it a case of he was the best of a bad bunch, or do you think actually no, he could be a really good manager for us?
I think he is. I think very current. He's up with the latest, formations and styles of play. A bit like the other fella at Villa, not long stopped playing. We've had the Benitez's and the Ancelottis. To an extent,
excuse me for 1 second. Thank you. Sorry.
Ferguson in the last game played the 4-4-2. That formation's dead. It's dead in the water nowadays. Yeah. He plays 4-4-2. Although we played Norwich and they 4-2, but we tried to match them and got outbeat by Norwich playing the 4-4-2. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think as well with Norwich, it was unlucky in a way with regards to that Michael Keane own goal. He didn't seem arsed, did he? Though when he went that, to me, he didn't seem one bit bothered that he just scored an own goal. To me, and that was the hurtful thing about it. With Keane.
For that goal, Mabs, right? He only had to take half a step to his left or half a step to his right, and half a step to his right. Putting it out for a corner was half a step for his left. His position
absolutely
disgusting. it's not even championship level.
No, of course it's not, mate. And the point being as well, he didn't seem arsed about it. He didn't give a flying F about it, and that's more hurtful as well.
Yeah, you're right.
He just shrugged his shoulders and then just jogged on.
He's not
in front of us as well. In front of us, we just travelled, 6 hours to get there, and they've got a 6-hour journey back. Yeah, shrugged his shoulders and then walked on. Then jogged up the pitch. Wasn't arsed.
He's not
hurting the
but they don't care about what the badge on the chest. It's all about just picking up the wages. The Iwobies, the Rondons, the Michael Keanes. They don't give a toss about Everton Football Club.
No, exactly.
The Gordons and the Dele Allis, the Damari Grays.
You're already preempting it.
I've already put him in the squad, haven't I?
That Dele Alli's not good enough. He's rubbish. Get him out.
You can see they're hungry. They care.
Yeah.
Harry Gray was dragged out of German football. He had his chance at Leicester, and he wants to prove that he can still do it in the Premier League, and that's why we've been getting the performances out of him.
And let's not forget, he's going to want to fight for his cap. He's going to want to fight for his that. He wants to go back. He wants to get back in the England squad. So, yeah. But let's be honest. You've got a World Cup coming.
Well, that's what I was saying before. He's got something to prove, hasn't he? Yeah. He's got something to prove, and I think the way he's been treated by Mourinho is absolutely disgusting, because he's not a bad player.
No.
And I think now coming to us, it's a breath of fresh air.
It's the same.
Got something to prove. He can go and do what he does, and it's something you could even play him as a number 10.
It's the same situation with Luca Dean at us, though, wasn't it? You know what I mean? He had a former manager, and the next minute he's gone. But for some...
yeah, I agree, but I think it was slightly different. I think if you look at Mourinho's history, whenever he goes to a club, he always seems to pick on a player. Like at United, as someone said before, it was Luke Shaw, and he kept playing him, but then criticising him. Then he went to Tottenham. He kept playing Dele Alli and criticising him. It's just his way. So I think his confidence was shot. I think the Lucas Dean scenario was more to do with he didn't like what Rafa was doing, and he didn't like the tactics. He didn't like what he was getting asked to do as a player. So he spoke out, and we all know what happened there.
I think a lot's got to be said on these managers that fallen out with Luke Shaw's, Dean's. They're all dinosaurs.
Correct. Look, that's 110% correct.
Look at these managers now: Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney. These are the players. If they've got a gripe, they know they can go to them and they're approachable. They go tough. Get on with it. You know what I mean?
Also, it's something to look up to, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If something to look up to.
If you're a football player, and
Mike.
You've got.
They're all laughing now.
Mike.
What he's done.
He's YouTube. Sorry, lads. He's shot out in anger.
Sorry, Dave. Funny, Mike. You don't want to get you in trouble, Mike. I'm sure you're already in the doghouse
God, mate.
For your antics this week. Dave, can I ask you about? Have you seen the interview Mashiri put out on the official site before?
I have, yeah.
What do you make of that?
What?
He said the fans are everything at the club. It doesn't matter who you bring in. You need the fans. They're the 12th man. What did you seem sincere to you?
I think he's.
Sorry, just to interrupt. I want to tag out. I've been on since I said, but I'll come back about 10. Okay.
Okay, Mabs, go on.
Yeah, see you in a bit.
Get Basil, please. Go on. Sorry, Dave.
I think, to be honest, I think it's blown our asses a bit. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't care about
Correct. 110% correct.
The fact of the matter is, he's a businessman, and He's in it for the money. You know, if he builds the stadium, it wouldn't surprise me if he then sells Everton on.
Yeah.
Get a lot of money.
Sorry, Dave, to interrupt. I think that's been said by a few people that once this stadium is built, he will move on. But if he, as soon as he said, I listen to the fans, excuse the language, why the fuck did he bring the fat Spaniard in? Why did he bring Rafa in?
Because he was listening to us went off.
Correct. So he's not listening to the fans.
It was Usmanoff's decision, that.
But anyone with any ounce of football intelligence would know you do not bring that man in to your worst rivals.
Do you know what it is? Like, do you know what I think it is? At the moment, Everton, you look at the managers that they've just interviewed, they're all out of work, so they're not going to money in compensation. Yeah. And Benitez was the same. At the time, looking back on it, he was probably the most experienced manager out there that wasn't going to cost us money.
But he has, so hasn't he?
He has now, yeah. But if
it's cost us a lot more. But if you listen to what they say, before Carlo came in, it was a toss-up between Benitez and Bobby Brownshoes again.
Can I just very quickly say, I've got Jeff Thompson in the comments, and he was on the stream with you, Mickey, the other night. Do you remember Jeff? He was co-hosting with me while you were, when you had one too many. Jeff, if you want to come on, it'd be great to get you on at some point. Just send me a little DM.
Jeff, if I owe you an apology, mate, I apologise. But trust me now, I was nearly 4 litres of vodka in.
Mike, while I've got the pleasure of Dave here, can you tell us all about the experience the other day in the supermarket?
Yeah, it was Saturday, and I didn't even know that the man lived in my local area. And I was in Tesco's. I've seen him in there before, but I didn't speak to the man. And Marcel Brands was, as I walked out the door, he was walking out at the same time. And I asked him a couple of questions. Number one being, why are you still here? I thought you would have been gone. And he said, no, they like the area, they like where they live. And then I said, how bad is Everton Football Club? And he looked at me and he basically said, it's a shit show. He said from top to bottom.
Were they his words? Shit show. I mean, that doesn't sound like something he'd say. What did he actually say?
No, it was my word. He said, it's unbelievable. And I went, is it a shit show? And he went, yes. And I said, from top to bottom? He went, yes. So I said, what can be done? And he just looked at me and he didn't answer it. So I said, then, would you pick Frank Lampard? And he went, no. And then he walked away. And my missus was saying, who's that? And I said, it's Marcel Brands. He's just been sacked from Everton as the director of football. So she goes, well, why don't you go and get him and ask more questions? And by the time I'd done, I thought, you know what? I will do. He was getting into his car. And I've later discovered that he only lives down the road from me.
He's your next door neighbour. You'd be popping in for...
I mean...
Well, Rafa only lives down the road from me as well.
There's nothing that you...
only lives 10 minutes away.
There's nothing that you said there that isn't surprising. We all know that the whole club's a shit show at the minute. But what it needs somebody to be put in charge of it. And
yeah, it does.
And sort it out from the bottom to the top. You know what I mean? And have the overall say in it. And, you know, for as much as man was made the scapegoat, he also identified Donny van de Beek a season and a half.
Can I just say, sorry, Dave, for interrupting. It seems very funny now that the players we are buying from Patterson, the left back. I can't think of his name at the moment.
Palenko.
Yeah, and a few other players. Marcel Brands wanted to buy.
Identified them, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think these signings, this Van der Beek and Dele Alli, are Marcel Brand signings?
Van der Beek was definitely...
Van der Beek, yeah. Dele Alli, I don't know, but possibility.
But
Van der Beek, yeah.
Going back to what you were saying before about Christian Eriksen, he was on Sky Sports this morning saying he's not fit enough to play in the cup. So,
there you go. Yeah.
That was on Sky the very first thing this morning. But
well, let's be honest, he hasn't trained for a while.
Yeah, and plus he's not long at that.
God. I mean, I wish you, Dave. I mean, you said it, not me. But I hope he has a really good season. I hope he can get to some level of football, and I think he'll make a difference for Brentford. But I'm glad he's not playing on the weekend. Jeff, if you want to come on, I've sent you a direct message. If you want to join, I've sent you the link. What are you saying, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask, do you think this game is a priority for us?
Yeah, I do.
You do, Dave, yeah. I don't, you think? I don't. I think our league position is more of a priority. And I think this cup game could be a good chance for Lampard to see some of the young players.
The league position will supersede the cup, but if it wins and you got boost confidence, you know. So it's one of them. It's a double-edged sword, and we need to get up the league. Also, we need to get some confidence in the squad. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. That makes 110%.
Would you take a win against Newcastle but lose against Brentford, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, like I said, league position takes precedence of cups in my eyes. You know, we've been climbing up for what, 26, 27 years. We're in a perilous position, and we need to move up that league. So yeah, I'd rather what Newcastle team against, because they seem to have swapped the whole team like overnight, which I think is unfair. I think the way they've done it, they them two best players injured, and then they postponed our game, and now we're going to come up against them where we should basically coming up against home, but we're going to be playing them away. We're going to be coming up against more or less a totally 11.
Yeah.
I
think they're not shy of spending nearly 100 million at the moment. So, and let's not forget, they took six points off us last season as well.
They're terrible, but they're picking up points.
They will do now with the players they've bought.
They will.
But I said it the other day. Newcastle don't bother me at this moment in time, because we all knew that they were going to spend money in January, and we all knew that. So the team I fear is Watford. I think Watford, if we don't get a good run under Frank for our league games, and we carry on the way we're going, and I honestly believe if we stuck with Rafa, we were getting relegated.
Oh yeah.
But if we don't get a good run of games under Frank at this moment, I fear Watford.
I think
more than anyone else.
I'm very confident the ground running under Lampard, but like I say, Newcastle, it's like the best player they bought, Humorous, whatever his name is.
Well, they've just bought that centre back, haven't they? Bruno, someone.
He's Bruno Guimaraes, a midfielder, but they've got that target in on loan, and like I say, I put a little comment on before that we're going to null and void the league because Newcastle bought somebody else's player.
Yeah. So thanks. I'm gonna Jeff. By the way, you don't have to bring your camera on, and you can just use your audio if you want to come on for a little chat for a little bit. Because tonight it's very relaxed. It's just rotating guests through till about 11 o'clock. I think we've got Basil coming on a bit later on. Mabsy will come back. Steve Blue hopefully will come back. John as well. So got a mix of people. If you're just tuning in, guys, I've got Mike and Davey Weston with me on the show. We've had a lot of people on already. Be sure to comment, and if you haven't already, like down below and hit the subscribe button for us. Thank you to Brian, who's just hit the subscribe button for me. That's fantastic. Gonna look at some of the other news now that's happening in terms of transfers in the Premier League, because I think it is important to see how your rivals are doing. Newcastle are bringing in Dan Burn. Now that could potentially open up the transfer of Mason Holgate. Mike, would you happily see Mason Holgate? Dan Burn's going to Brighton, and in turn, Brighton could replace him with Mason Holgate. Is that a deal you'd like to see done? Mason Holgate to Brighton?
As much as it breaks my heart to think that someone who's come through the system and quite doesn't cut it, but you've got to be realistic. Yeah, he's not an Everton player. He's not going to make the level we want him to. He's prone to a series of mistakes. So if he goes, he goes, and I won't lose sleep over him. I think his arrogance leaves a lot to be desired, and I just don't think he's a player we thought he was.
So what sort of fee would you be looking for Mason? What would you take for him?
8 mil.
8 mil.
To be honest, I'd send him out on a fucking free.
Dave, would you like to see him go to Brighton, potentially replacing Dan Burn, who's just signed for Newcastle?
You know what? Looking back at it last week, I didn't think he had the weight centre half, but I put a comment on earlier that when Mina's fit matter, who you put in the centre half, they play better. They always do. He commands the defence. When he's not there, they're all over the place. Do you know what I mean? I need you, Michael, step up and take charge. Simply not good enough, and hasn't got balls to turn around and lead. But you've got to keep me. But we can't. He's made the polystyrene. You know what I mean?
Got to keep me in a fit. Yeah. Jeff Thompson saying, controversial opinion, appointing Benitez may have well been a good thing for Everton because it brought everything to a head. The fans have woken up at last, and change comes from adversity. What do you make of that, Mike?
Hang on, let me read that controversial opinion. Appointing may have been a good. How was appointing him a good thing?
I love this because Jeff and Mike have spoken many times on. Jeff and Mike have spoken many times actually on Twitter Spaces. So
I think I kind of get.
How was he? How the? I'm going to swear in a minute.
Has brought.
Look where we are in the league.
I kind of get.
Look at how toxic the fans have become. Look at the way Everton is divided at this moment in time.
Yeah, but
how appointing that man was a good thing.
But that's not just happens overnight because brought in. That's been happening the past 5-6 years since the bringing in the likes of Rondon. It won't be. You know, these players are not good. We know.
Yeah, Dave. But Benitez, how the hell is that a good thing? How is it? I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Sometimes hitting rock bottom is needed to wake people up.
Nothing to do with Liverpool. The man's a dinosaur. He's proved and proved and proved how far behind the times he is. We got battered by Liverpool. Battered. And he come out and said, yes, but we done more running. Yeah, we were chasing shadows. The man's an absolute lunar ball. The man should be locked up for his own safety.
It's not divided anymore, Mike. That's my point. I love that comment, Jeff. Thanks so much for sharing your opinion. Jeff saying, "Think deeper, Mike. Think deeper." Do you guys think
deeper? The man's a vampire. He sucked the life out of Everton Football Club.
Mike, I'm going to get you on many times because you're utterly hilarious.
Oh my God! The man's destroyed this football club. The way fans running on the pitch to get to the manager. How can that be a good thing? It brings embarrassment to the club. So please explain to me how's that a good thing?
He hasn't destroyed Everton over 6 months. It's been going on for years.
But he hasn't helped. He hasn't helped with his comments. The main source, don't get me wrong, the main source is Mashiri. Mashiri's bought a football club thinking it's FIFA.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely destroyed us. He's brought this super agent in. And we've bought players in through this super agent who will never kick a ball for Everton.
I think there was something the other day on, I'm not sure whether it was Sky or something, and he said Everton or it might have been Talk Sport, and I said Everton become a haven for agents.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's right. We are an absolute, no matter, don't get me wrong, Ken Wright now has had his day. But when Ken Wright solely run the club, we were nobody's fool. But Ken Wright will be taken for the ride. And I can't believe that fucking comment then. You've got, God, fucking Benitez. The man's a fucking lynch. He's a vampire. He sucked the soul and heart out of this club. Duncan Ferguson got his chance with Aston Villa, and there was nothing left of Duncan Ferguson. That man was it. You think of Duncan Ferguson against Aston Villa and Duncan Ferguson against Chelsea. It was two different people.
Yeah, but different circumstances.
Because of Benitez.
I think
the man's a vampire. He just sucks a soul.
He got toxic. Like I say,
Benitez broken Everton has woken up Mashiri and the apathetic fans and created an impetus for change. In a way, he is right. You can't argue.
Yeah, he is right.
But you would have preferred it to have not happened through appointing him in the first place.
Correct. Look where we are in the league. We are absolutely 4 points from relegation.
If somebody else, if it hadn't been Benitez, he'd still had the same shit squad, and we'd probably end up with the same. But
we wouldn't have had a manager who plays a right back as a left back to prove a point when the left back's on the bench.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that was just this.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't do.
You look at some of it. Rondon.
He said
nothing personal against the man. I don't know the man, but he's not a Premier League player, and he's playing him for 120 minutes. We had a young lad come in. The left back hadn't trained for 10 days, and Benitez puts him on the park for 120 minutes, and then says he hasn't trained for 10 days.
Yeah,
he gets crucified.
The kind of thing that baffled me was he's always, when the fans were screaming out for Sims and Dobbin to be played, he's like, ready, they're too young and this, that, and the other. They're not mentally prepared, and then goes and
why have them on the bench?
2 fullbacks under the age of 22.
Yeah,
that doesn't.
The man is so. I don't care what anyone said. He was paid a lot of money to fucking destroy our club, and he's done it. I'm 53 years old. I've been supporting this club since I was 8 years old. I've never seen the fans so divided as when this man came in. And he has destroyed this football club. And now, even though I wasn't a great advert, and supporter of Frank Lampard, he seems to be bringing the fans back together, and that can only be a good thing. And I will back this man now.
Like I say, so much the manager that's getting the fans excited at the moment. I think it's the quality of the players that are in today. You know, we look at London and Obies that's been last year, like. Oh.
Dave, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, mate. You're breaking up a bit.
I think his connection's not that good, to be honest with you.
What did you say? Sorry, bud.
I said, you know, in the past windows.
That's better.
When we've had the likes of,
we can't see you.
When we've had the likes of Rondon and the Wobie, we can't get excited about them.
No, you can't.
We can get excited about these because we know the quality players, they're proven. But Van der Beek's not maybe proven because he hasn't had game time, but he's got to be half decent if Man United don't want to put a buyout clause in there, haven't they?
Yeah, and like they've loaned him out with, as you say, with no sell-on clause. So basically, they're sending him to us as a training session. But I don't care if he does a job which is right for us. It's only going to benefit us.
Yeah.
Dele Alli,
can I come in?
He's got something to prove.
I agree. I think the Van der Beek one is interesting. If he does well, United are going to keep him. His fee is going to be high.
Sorry, right. It's just annoying that we haven't got the option to buy him. Because if
they don't know what he's worth. They probably think he's still worth quite a lot of money. And ultimately, I think it's going to come down to how well he performs now. For me, the concern is he does really well. If he does really well, it's a win-win. He does well for us. We'll want to keep him and we'll pay the money. Now, if he fails, if he turns out to be a bad buy, he's a bad loan player, we send him back. And it's United's problem, not ours. So it's low risk, but we need players who are going to have an input now. After 18 months without doing anything, is he going to be able to come straight in and have an effect? Yes. I hope so. Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. I really do. But if he doesn't... If he doesn't do well,
like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. If he doesn't do well, though, he goes back. If he does really well, I think we're going to have trouble negotiating a fee for him. But look, it's a low risk signing overall. We need bodies in. We're paying his salary. £500,000 loan fee. It isn't an awful lot. I'm going to just go to the comments. I've got Jeff Thompson, who's I've been speaking to on Twitter, who's excellent blue, and obviously. It's not really had a bit of a disagreement with Mike, who's a guest tonight. Mike's come on, Mickey nobody. It's really good to have you on here.
Disagreement with Jeff.
Well, he thinks it was the best. He thinks it's a good idea that. Let me explain. Rafa Benitez was a good thing in a way because it instigated change. He's saying here. He goes on to say, if Rafa hadn't come in, we wouldn't have reached this point. Would Frank have been here? Would the 27 campaign have been so popular? Would Mashiri have done public interviews? Would Ken Wright be under pressure? And bear in mind, Mashiri said today, Ken Wright's got a job for life. So, I mean, in a way, we have achieved things. You know, this has brought change. This has instigated some sort of...
But bringing Rafa in hasn't brought change. What's brought change is... the style of football we're playing. That could have been any manager. And what's brought change is we are sick and tired of this no-nonsense which has been happening to this football club under Mashiri. We haven't... the highest position we've had was under Sam Allardyce, which was 8th. Sam Allardyce give us our best position since Mashiri took over the club. Sam Allardyce. He's won nothing. People keep ranting and raving about Sam Allardyce. Tell me a cup he's won. He's won nothing.
Yeah.
But yet he's given us the highest position. That's embarrassing.
Mike, I'm going to ask you.
Football club.
I'm going to ask you then. What do you expect from Frank Lampard this season? What position?
If we finish 4th from bottom, I will be happy.
And Dave, what would be success?
We've got and what has happened this season, if we stay in the Premier League, I am happy. And let him rebuild in the summer. properly rebuild. I feel sorry for him in a sense because he's come in to a shit show, which he's inherited. He's been brought into the likes of Rondon, Iwobi, Gomez, Holgate, Keane. He's been brought into all this. What the hell do you expect him to do? He's a young manager with basically zero experience. What the hell do you expect this man to do? Let's be honest about it. He's coming into a shit show.
I'm a bit more optimistic than Mike. I think we'll finish just above mid-table. It's just below mid-table.
No,
I think we'll hit the ground.
Sorry, Dave.
Frank.
The question was, what would I hope? What would I want? If we finish fourth from bottom, I'm happy with that because we're still in the Premier League. You look at the players we've got, and what Frank Lampard's been asked to do with zero experience at this level. Don't forget, the only job he's had is at Chelsea with better players.
Yeah, he still managed to finish fourth that season, though.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not having a pop at him. I'm having a pop at Everton and what he's been asked to do with the players we've got.
Yeah, but so is the last 5 or 6 managers. Last 5 or 6 have edited the same shite.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
But
we had Carlo.
But on the flip side of that is from today, it looks like he's bringing in quality players by the looks of it.
Yeah, he is.
You know, whereas in the past we haven't brought in quality players. We've just been buying because they've been available. You know, apart from Richarlison and Damari Gray and maybe 1 or 2 others, the rest of them just like Filthy Sigurdsson, you know, 50 million for him. It's like...
Yeah, it's a joke.
Who was the other one? With Ashley Williams, another one.
13 million for him, yeah.
You know, Michael Keane, 30 million. Iwobi, 27 million. You're like... That's
what I'm saying.
This is what I'm saying. These quality players, that's just quantity. If we get 2 or 3 players in a season, quality players, always better over quantity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I mean. Frank Lampard is walking into all this shit and he's got to try and sort it out. That's what I mean. If we can finish in the Premier League and then in the summer he can sort all this shit out, fucking spot on. Because he's inherited shit.
Well, they've been very sneaky, haven't they, Everton, with this Dele Alli thing? Because it's basically a loan deal. Because it's basically, you know, when you analyse it, it's basically a loan deal because they're paying nothing for him, and then after 20 games, they're going to give Tottenham 10 million. So that gives you half of the season and into next season before we have to pay a penny for him. So it's basically a loan deal for the rest of the season, and then we'll sign them on a permanent deal.
But is that a way to get around this loan deal law where you're only allowed 4 players?
Well, it's because he's signing
and 2 from Europe.
Well, effectively, he's signing on a permanent deal, isn't he? So yeah, it's a way of getting around it. So he's our player, but it's when you look at it and analyze it, it's basically 4 or 5 months loan deal. Because what's left? How many games left in the season? 18 or something like that. You know, so yeah, it's basically another loan deal. They've just snuck around the rules.
But fair play. If all these alleged top clubs have been doing it for years, so why can't we do it?
Exactly. Everybody during all this bloody COVID, they've all been flaunting the rules and making it to their benefit. Yeah. So why can't we do it?
Even now, fucking gobshites. I fucking hate them.
Guys, thanks so much, Mike, Dave. Pleasure to have you on tonight for this last half an hour. Really good. I think we've it's good to have the contrasting views and some different opinions. Obviously, Mabsy and Steve and John, who were on earlier, and you guys, I think, given a little bit of a different perspective on things. So I'm now going to bid you farewell because Basil's coming.
Problem, right? No
He's coming on, and I think Dave probably wants to go and.
I've got to get up at 2:30 in the morning to get out in the taxi. So I'll be going to bed soon. Hopefully, wake up for a few more signings.
I'm going to carry on drinking.
So, just final thoughts from you guys, Dave. What do you want to wake up tomorrow? What do you want to see?
Obviously, Dele Alli signed.
Yes.
There was rumours of. I think when you came on yesterday, Ryan, about someone put on there about Carlo loaning as a player.
Yeah,
and that's being floated around about.
Question, actually, Dave.
Yeah, that Jovic. So it'd be nice if we could get him in on the loan from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Give Dominic Calvert-Lewin a little boot up the arse that he might need. And hopefully maybe a good decent centre half, and maybe get rid of Keane and Holgate.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Dave. I'm sure I'll see you on the next video, and you're more than welcome to come back on whenever you like.
Thanks very much,
Dave.
Ryan. It's been a pleasure, mate.
My
All
pleasure.
the best,
Glad
mate.
to have you on. And I'm sorry that I couldn't have Mabsy with you, but with the timings tonight just didn't quite work out. But
we'll do it next time, mate.
We'll do it you again. Thanks, Dave.
See you later.
Thank you. Mike, final comments from you just before I bring in Basil.
For having me on, right? You've asked me a couple of times now, but I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. So hopefully you'll ask me on again.
I will do, for sure. Can I ask you just finally, Pokey Jedi is a regular watcher now, subscriber. He says, I can really see Dele Alli and Calvert-Lewin linking up well. Do you think that'll be the sign of Calvert-Lewin having a little bit more service, not just necessarily from wide areas, but through the middle?
I did say before, didn't I? Dele Alli has a number 10. I think it will be. I just think he's got something to prove, and that's what excites me. And I think that with Calvert-Lewin fully fit and back on his game, and which I think he will be now under a new manager, I'm really excited about the second half of the season. Adam Ramsey has joined Rangers on loan for the rest of the season.
Would you have had him?
Sorry.
Would you have had Ramsey?
No. Too injury prone. At this moment in time, no. We need players who can commit and can fight for this club. And I think, as much as I was against Frank Lampard in the beginning, I think he's going to do this now. I just think we need to finish in the Premier League. That's my priority now, is for us to finish in the Premier League. I've still got doubts with the players we've got, even though the players we're bringing in, whether it's enough. And I think Jordan Pickford needs to carry on the way he has done all season. He's been my player of the season, and he's going to save us. Really
there you go, Mike. I got official confirmation now. Dele Alli has signed for Everton. That is official news. He's an Everton player. That is official news. And we tried to sign Luka Jovic on loan from Real Madrid, but that was declined.
Who?
Luka Jovic.
Right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just getting that now. Yeah. Right. Ryan, thank you very much for having me on, mate. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Time.
All the best.
Cheers,
thank you very much, Mike. Top blue.
Cheers, mate.
Like buses, you're trying to get someone to come on the show. A lot of the time, it's just me sat talking to myself on here. As you'll have seen on the last two shows, it was pretty much just me with some special guests. And then tonight, I've had Stevie, John, Steve Blue, Mabsy, Dave, and Mike all on 6 guests, which is which is something that never really happens. But I'm glad that I finally had a little bit of support from some of the other people on the channel as well. So that's really nice. And I hope it's made it of an interesting watch to have different opinions and different people coming on. We're up to 836 subscribers. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and join in. Let's see if we can get up to 850 tonight. That'd be a really good target. I'm going to bring in now my co-host and brother, Mr. Basil Grant. He's absolutely brilliant, knows his stuff on Everton Football Club. It's been very busy today with university work, but I'm bringing him in. So we've had a lot of good pundits. Dave, good evening.
Hello.
We've had John, Mabsy, Stevie, Steve Blue, Dave Weston, and Mickey from Twitter on tonight. So 6 people, and you're the 7th. We've got every single person, every single contact we know on here. So we're going to start this fresh with the 2-hour point. I've been on here since 8:30. Stevie did the first slot. Really, I would be drifting off now and you'd be taking over with Mabsy or John, but it's not looking like they're coming back at this stage. So I'll just continue with you and get your thoughts on some of the things and keep the comments coming in. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. So the news is Dele Alli has signed for Everton. That's official confirmation. He is now an Everton player. So there you go. I want your raw reaction to Dele Alli first and foremost. What do you make of the signing?
Has he actually been approved now?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Done deal.
Well, I think it's a good signing in some respects, but this is really one that, a bit like Van de Beek, we're only going to be able to judge it after a few months. We don't really know what Dele Alli we're getting, because the Dele Alli that played 3, 4, 5 years ago was kind of on the top of his game, was exceptional talent coming through. He linked up so well with Harry Kane. The two of them were just storming Spurs up the league. And he's just dropped off, hasn't he? And I think he's been a victim of all the managerial changes there, and he's really struggled to find his game. But, if you can get him back to what he was, then he's going to be some player. And, what he is quite Frank Lampard-esque, isn't he? In the way that he makes his runs into the box and scores a lot of first-time finishes by creeping in. So, yeah, you'd hope if Frank can get him playing well, Frank has all the experience to get him back on form.
I agree, David. I think it's an interesting one. It's got the potential to be an outstanding signing, and I think Spurs have covered their backs really well, because the deal could rise up to £40 million if he meets some criteria. So what I think is, it's a win-win situation. I think in Frank Lampard, he's got the ideal manager there to play under, almost can mold him and say, look, this is what you need to do to be a top midfielder. I think Dele Alli, we're going to see a really outstanding Dele Alli now. The same with Van de Beek in a way. I think they're both really good link-up players. They're going to add more creativity. Moving on to Van de Beek, we've established that Dele Alli, if he can rejuvenate his career under Lampard, could be a brilliant signing for us. But Van de Beek, he hasn't played for 18 months at Man United. Is he a player you're excited to see at Everton, or do you think is another risky player, who might not hit the ground running straight away? And really, we need someone who can do that. But I want your raw thoughts. That has also come off today, Van de Beek, for 6 months till the end of the season.
Yeah, I think Van de Beek's been very unfortunate not to have played more games, really, in that United side, which has generally struggled to meet the targets that they're aiming for. He's only played 4 times, I think, since he joined from the start, which is really shocking stat. And does that say that he's just not up to scratch, or is he Davy Klaassen in disguise? I feel like he's not. I feel like he does have something to offer, but he might take a bit of time to get going, that's for sure. I do like what he's trying to put together, though, at least in the short term. He knows that we don't really have players who are quick, interchangeable players, good touches of the ball, and can, just spot a pass and just take a nice touch and flick it off. We've got Damari Gray, you'd say, you can pass it into him anywhere and he'll take responsibility for the ball. But how many of those players do we have? And I feel like Dele Alli will will do the same sort of role. He'll take the ball. I think Van de Beek's confident to get the ball. I've seen clips of him, obviously, in Ajax. He looks really good. But if they can offer a bit more of that, and we don't lose the ball so easily, and we've got players on the ball who are confident in possession as opposed to just trying to pass it back, it can only really be positive. I am a bit concerned about us defensively, but let's see how it pans out.
Dave, brilliant. Jeff says both players have been hampered by dinosaur managers and will be set free by a progressive-minded attacking manager who believes in them. So with that in mind, what sort of formation do you expect Everton to play now, and what sort of lineup would you anticipate would be, whether that's in rotation or the first 11?
Well, at the moment, if it's 4-3, I'd say 4-3-3. But it might be the 4-2-3-1. Because I don't know where Ali's going to play. I have watched a bit of Ali the last few weeks when I've seen Spurs play. He's hit and miss. Some games he looks like he's got that moment of class, and I think I saw him against Liverpool. He missed that, the one-on-one sort of chance, but he did have a good game that game, and he linked up really well with Son and Kane. He looked the threat. We need to get that play, but he doesn't strike me as someone who is going to chase the ball back and chase it down. So it's whether Frank feels like he's disciplined enough to play on the sort of, the role in the midfield just above Allen, or whether he plays him as a number 10 and Van de Beek has the more sort of defensive role. But do
you think you need a really good defensive screen in there, though, if you've got those two players in?
Would have done the job, but it doesn't look like that.
This is what Pokey says. We've got Garnegate. If we'd have got Garnegate, it would have been a perfect window, but I'm asking too much. He was a sensational player. But I think that's what that team lacks, really, a real screen in front of the back four.
It lacks that solidity, and Frank said in his interview, it's positive. He's saying he's going to play this. He's going to play attacking football. He's going to play possession-based football. But what happens when you lose possession with that side? So I'm seeing Gray on the. We'll see Richarlison actually on the left and Calvert-Lewin up front, Gray on the right. And then you've got this midfield three of whatever it is, where Decore's out. So let's say it's Allen and Van de Beek and Ali in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, when they've settled in. That's quite an attacking team, isn't it? Because what you've got, if you play a 4-3-3 and you've got the likes of Richarlison and Gray up there, you want them to be sticking up there and staying. The idea of having the three is you've got the protection in midfield that you don't have to. You wingers don't have to always track back. But are Ali and Van de Beek disciplined enough? I'm not sure. That makes me think he'll play 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, that was another comment. I think Jeff was saying 4-2-3-1. But where does that leave Richarlison?
He'll have to do a job out on the left, won't he? I mean, we don't know. We're just speculating.
And then this is another one. Decore and Allen with Ali, Van de Beek and Richarlison behind Dominic. But
like
you can't drop... How can you drop Gordon and... and Damari Gray? I think that's a really difficult one, but it's good that the managers now finally got problems.
I think the manager said it. The game tactic will still be crosses, but maybe he thinks that comes from the fullbacks, and then he can play a 4-2-3-1.
Andy Vale is a regular watch. He says we should have signed Van de Beek in the summer if it wasn't for Ollie blocking it. Brands wanted him. What do you think of that?
True. It's true. We nearly got him in the summer. I think we were looking for a loan, though, again.
Jeff says, poor El Ghazi. He's not going to get a look in now, is he? We're going to have a strong bench.
It's a Iwobi that is going to be hopefully not featuring.
Iwobi's not going to play for Everton again, I don't think, by the looks of it. I mean, if you're shifting now into a 4-3-3, you've got Decore, Allen, Gomez, Dele Alli, and Van de Beek. I mean, it could be an utter shambles. The two new signings haven't done anything for 2 years. So it could really be an utter shambles, more of the same of what
they haven't done anything, but they do strengthen the squad on paper because they're coming into positions where we lack any sort of player with the ability. Van de Beek, okay, his closest match in the squad is probably Decore. I'd say he's probably a little bit more attacking than Decore.
Has he got the energy and the legs of Decore?
We don't have a number 10.
Look, we're going to be far better with these two. I've got no doubt that under the right coach in the right environment, that we're going to have a more balanced squad. I think we've addressed the issues. He's brought in 2 number 10 type characters or 2 number 8s. I think now the 4-3-3 could work. I still think now you've got Demarai Gray, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin as your front 3. And then I think it's a case of where do you fit in the other players. Gordon, you'd argue, who's done enough to start games. Iwobi's going to be nowhere near it. I don't imagine El Ghazi's going to get much of an opportunity now. We'll get injuries, and I think you need to have a squad. I think we've done the right thing. We can't afford to have it. Do you think there's relegation clause for someone like Dele Alli in there if we do go down, that we can release him? Because he's a player who's going to be on big wages.
What's the 40 million? We don't know what the breakdown of this 40 million is. It seems like an awful lot of money unless he does perform to how he was performing.
Look, if he turns out to be an absolutely amazing player, we'll pay the 40 million. Look, they know it's never happening.
The one thing we do know is they've got something to prove, you know. And what happened when we brought Townsend in? He had something to prove that he was a free transfer and he had his last opportunity. We brought Demarai Gray in. He has something to prove with him being, you know, almost failed in Germany and struggled at Leicester towards the end, and he's proving it. Gordon,
Demarai Gray is the example of a player, isn't he?
Who are the players who don't have stuff to prove? It's very often the ones who are having the poor season, like your Deans, your Keane, your Coleman. So you'd hope with Van der Beek, he's got something to prove. He hasn't had any time on the pitch. He's desperate to prove himself at Premier League level. Ali has not had, you know, the run of the green recently. Can he show that he's capable to get in the England squad for the World Cup?
He's got a point to prove, hasn't he?
We're building an English contingent as well with the manager and with the players. There are quite a few positives.
Just looking at some of the other deals, Dave. Luis Diaz has gone to Liverpool. That really pissed me off, to be honest. He's a top player. Aaron Ramsey gone on loan to Rangers.
Yeah, I've seen that. But are they paying all of his wages?
Lingard staying at United. That's a bit of a shame, isn't it, really, for him?
Well, to be honest, I'd rather have Lingard than Ali, really. It might be controversial, but I think Lingard did such a superb job at United, at West Ham United.
Bear with me 1 second, Dave.
What's going on?
Welcome back to Follow Everton, the final 10 minutes of the Deadline Day show. David, sorry, I just had to do something very briefly. A couple of years ago, I mean, this is a comment just come in from Pokey. He says, a couple of years ago, teams were willing to play 80 million for Dele. There's clearly a really talented player there, isn't there?
He's only young as well. He's still only 25. It's a measure of how young he was when he broke on the scene. But yeah, he will be worth that money if he does come back up to how he was, you know. But yeah, he might not get back up to that level. And he was in a Spurs team that had, you know, an established core with it, with Eriksen and the likes of Kane. And, you know, they had a good team, didn't they, back then? Solid midfield, Vertonghen and Alderweireld in their prime. So he was in a good team. He's coming to a struggling Everton side with a very poor defense that looks like it's capable of leaking a lot of goals in this system. But I do feel like if we can get the set piece systems right early on and stop conceding from set pieces, we won't concede huge amounts of goals from open play.
Yeah,
and we'll be able to outscore
confidence. Have you? You're spot on. I hope we do manage to get Anthony Barry in to help with the set pieces. That is a real problem for us. Dave, just before, you know, I don't know whether you've had a chance to have a look at, but Farhad Mashouri did an interview on the club site, and Frank Lampard. You've not had a chance to watch either of them.
Lampard's, yeah.
Okay, so just on Lampard's for now. What did you make of the Lampard interview?
He spoke well. I mean, I think we knew before that he was good in the press. He was direct. He gave the answers. He got asked the questions we expected. He got asked about the board several times. He got asked about the youth. Got asked about his goals against us over the years. But no, I think he spoke well, and he gave the right impression that he was hungry, that he had a desire to succeed, that he was taking a club that were in a bit of a situation, and he was going to try and play. He's going to play possession football. I think people will be excited by that. We just got to get out of this problem right now, how low down we are, the lack of confidence.
My gut feeling, based on the interview, is that we'll be out of the relegation zone fairly quickly. We'll be out of that area. I think he'll hit the ground running. I think these two new signings are going to flourish under him. I think Calvert-Lewin's going to have a new lease of life. I think he's going to install confidence in the defence. The backroom team that he's brought in with on paper looks absolutely outstanding. Hopefully Duncan's still got some involvement with the first team in there. And I just think we've got all the ingredients now to have a real go. And I can see us finishing in the top 10. I can see us going on a really good run. And then in the summer, rebuild. And I think if we do that, and if he gets a really good run together, the board are going to back him. He's going to have money to spend again. And the players are not going to want to leave because they'll see a future under Everton under this coach. Dave, so you were really happy. He clearly is really media trained. He seems like a really nice guy. Obviously, we've avoided him since he destroyed our heart in the FA Cup final 2009. So I've avoided any thought of Frank Lampard for so long, but really now can't avoid it. And he seems to be really down to earth, really nice guy. And I think he's going to get a lot out of the Everton players.
Yeah, he's got good contacts as well. I mean, his uncle's Harry Redknapp, and yeah, he's got good. His father, obviously, is he still alive, Frank Senior? But yeah, he's got a good wealth of contact base.
Just before we wrap up, just going to give you some news. Matt Targett has left Aston Villa and joined Newcastle on loan. I mean, I probably would have had him on loan.
I think I would have taken him because, well, we don't have another loan slot, but
yeah,
I do worry about throwing in Myelenko at this stage, but it is.
Did you hear that Duncan Ferguson apparently said he's not even a championship player?
No.
To a fan on the coach. Did you also hear Mickey, who was on before, who said that he'd bumped into Marcel Brands in Tesco in Heswell on Saturday?
Yeah,
and he had a chat with him. Yeah.
I heard that on Twitter.
Brilliant. But yeah, it says a lot. I mean, Luca Dean's just going in, and immediately, basically, they're saying we can't have another left back at the club. Villa are now just putting all the hopes in Luca Dean.
Wait, have they not got a second left back at all?
That was Matt Targett.
They've done what we did as they realised they couldn't keep another unhappy left back.
He's not going to get a sniff. Nat Phillips has left the Red Shite and gone to Bournemouth on loan. Eriksen has gone to Brentford for 6 months. City have signed Julian Alves from River Plate. He'll go back on loan. Burnley have signed Wolfsburg striker Wout Weghorst. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it, but Spurs have got rid of Tanguy and Ndombele to Leon. What a flop he's been. And Giovanni Lo Celso to Villarreal. I thought he was actually quite good, but they've got rid of him because they brought in Sweden winger Dejan Kulusevski.
Bernadeschi or
Kulusevski from Juventus for 8.3 million option to buy. 8.3 mil loan fee option to buy. They've also got in a midfielder, a Uruguayan midfielder, Rodrigo Bentancur from Juventus for 15.9 million. I think we were looking for him.
Yeah, we were linked at one point. I don't think we need any more wingers.
Paul Clement seems like a good assistant coach. Clement managed to get Renato Sanchez and was Carlos' assistant for years. Very good. So what's the plan now? Moving forward.
Are we waiting for this news still?
No, I think it's time to wrap things up. Yeah?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to come through, though. I'm pretty confident that we are going to see it come through this evening.
I know it's good. I know, but we've been on for 2 hours 20 minutes on and off, so I think we can react in due course. I think we've pretty much covered all the bases. Thanks, Basil, for coming on for these last 20 minutes, guys. If you're still watching, thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe. That's your deadline day stream. I'm sure you'll find some of the content for the last hour, but it is pretty much just repeating everything we've talked about. I don't expect any more surprises, and I haven't really got anything else to add, if I'm honest with you. So that's all from me. You've seen the full plethora of pundits tonight. Pokey says, thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
You're welcome.
Basil, I'll see you for Encanto. Not possible, is it? Tomorrow night?
I'll speak to you in a second then.
Okay. Take care. Bye.